The scene unfolds in a lavish jewelry store, adorned with glittering displays that catch the eye of every passerby. Gold, silver, and gemstones are arranged meticulously, each piece telling its own story of luxury and elegance. At the center of this opulent setting stands a woman of striking presence, her white skin contrasting sharply with the dark satin of her designer dress. She exudes an air of superiority, her aristocratic features set in a haughty expression as she tries on extravagant necklaces and bracelets. With every glance in the mirror, she seems to relish the way the jewels enhance her status, her laughter echoing with the self-assuredness of someone who feels untouchable. As she admires herself, the entrance chimes softly, welcoming a young girl who steps into the store. The girl, with her innocent eyes wide open in fascination, is a stark contrast to the lavish setting and the proud woman. Her brown skin glistens in the ambient light, and her braided hair bounces with each step she takes. She gazes in awe at the shimmering pieces displayed before her small hands reaching out as if to touch the beauty that surrounds her. Pure curiosity beams from her face. She seems to embody the very essence of innocence, completely absorbed in the dreamlike world of jewels. Suddenly, amidst her wonder, the girl accidentally bumps into the purse of the elegant woman, who is standing close by, preoccupied with a necklace that looks like it has been plucked from a royal treasury. The impact causes the delicate gold chain of an expensive necklace to slip from the woman's fingers. A sound of clinking metal fills the air as it falls to the polished floor. Time seems to slow as the necklace shatters, beads rolling like little orbs of misfortune, echoing the tension that now saturates the atmosphere. Anger instantly transforms the woman's demeanor. She spins around, her eyes blazing with indignation, fixing them on the small figure before her. "Look what you've done, you clumsy child," she shouts, her voice dripped with disdain. The harshness of her words slices through the store like a knife, and the air thickens with the sudden chill of hostility. The girl's face pales, eyes wide with shock as tears begin to well up, the joy of her earlier exploration replaced with fear. It is a silent yet powerful escalation, as if the very colors of the world have dulled in that instant. "What do you think you're doing here, anyway? This place is for people who can appreciate the finer things in life," the woman continues, her voice dripping with a venomous edge. She looks the girl up and down, as if evaluating her worth based solely on her appearance. "You don't belong here. Why don't you go back to where you came from?" Each word is a blow, calculated to demean and diminish. The hurtful comments spill out without regard for the girl's feelings, extinguishing her innocence and replacing it with raw humiliation. The surrounding customers, once caught in their own worlds of luxury, become passive witnesses to this cruel encounter. A hushed murmur ripples through the store as people shift uneasily. Some reach for their phones, fingers skimming screens as they capture the scene unfolding before them. To them, it is a spectacle, a moment to document rather than intervene. The tension thickens as the silence hangs heavily, no one daring to disrupt the confrontation. A few customers glance at one another, eyes wide, while others seem to feign disinterest, unable to face the discomfort swirling around them. As the woman revels in her moment of superiority, the girl's mother arrives. She strides into the scene with an authority that contrasts sharply with the apprehension emanating from her daughter. Her eyes find the tear-streaked face of her child, and in an instant, a protective fire ignites within her. Without hesitation, she advances toward the woman, her voice firm and unwavering. "Excuse me, but I believe you owe my daughter an apology," she states, glaring at the woman with a mix of disbelief and anger. "What do you know about how to raise a child?" Clearly, she was too busy daydreaming to pay attention. "This is no place for children," the woman retorts, crossing her arms defiantly, a smirk curling at the corners of her lips as if daring the mother to challenge her further. The mother, undeterred by the woman's arrogance, stands her ground. "You have no right to speak to her that way. She is a child, deserving of kindness and respect. Your words carry weight, and you have wielded them like weapons. This is not about clumsiness or misplaced bags. This is about the awful prejudices you are allowing to surface." As the confrontation escalates, the mother reveals herself to be the daughter of a well-known local businesswoman, renowned for her advocacy for diversity and inclusion. "You may think you are above reproach, but my daughter is part of a lineage that fights against people like you, who spread hate dressed up as superiority," she declares. Her words resonate throughout the store, drawing the attention of the customers who had previously chosen silence over action. In this moment, the dynamics of the encounter shift. Customers shuffle and murmur, some are nodding in agreement with the mother, while others, caught off guard, begin to reconsider their allegiance to the woman they had believed to be untouchable. The manager steps in, attempting to mediate the growing tension, but the damage has been done. Both sides are unwilling to back down. With mounting pressure from the gathering crowd, the need for open dialogue emerges. The mother, seizing the moment, suggests that they talk openly about race and prejudice right there in the store. Encourage dialogue where there was once silence. Sharing personal experiences and touching on the importance of empathy creates an unexpected connection among the gathered patrons. Feeling the weight of the moment, the elegant woman begins to look around at the faces surrounding her. Stripped of her defenses, she faces not just the mother and her daughter, but an audience, an impromptu assembly that stares back at her with a mix of scrutiny and expectation. For the first time, she sees her actions reflected in their eyes, a mirror that showcases not her luxury but her cruelty. As the tension finally begins to dissolve, the woman realizes that her previous confidence was built on a fragile foundation of prejudice. Confronted by the truths others are sharing, she feels compelled to rethink her stance and her values. When the mother mentions restructuring the narrative around inclusion, the idea strikes a chord. What if, instead of walking away with her pride intact, she took an active role in correcting her past mistakes? The journey of self-reflection begins, slowly breaking through the layers of arrogance she had wrapped around herself as armor. Over the coming days, the jewelry store transforms into a venue for open discussions on racism, prejudice, and acceptance. The atmosphere shifts as they introduce workshops and seminars dedicated to fostering respect and understanding in the community. The little girl, who once felt like an outsider, becomes a beacon of hope and empowerment, sharing her story and advocating for the very values that had once been denied to her. The initial confrontation, which had threatened to shatter lives and dignity, ultimately leads to profound change. The once aloof woman becomes an unexpected ally, learning alongside the very community she had disdained. As she immerses herself in these teachings, she forms bonds with those she once deemed inferior, building a bridge that connects them through shared experiences. Months later, the store hosts a grand event focused on inclusivity, drawing crowds eager to participate in discussions on diversity. The former adversaries now stand side by side, united in purpose, recounting their journeys that led them here. The mother watches with pride as her daughter speaks boldly about her experiences, sharing her newfound understanding and encouragement to others. Empathy can heal, she declares, words echoing throughout the room with the power of a shared awakening. And in that moment, as tears of joy stream down her cheeks, the mother knows that what began as a moment of hostility has blossomed into a beautiful legacy of unity, understanding, and hope, a reminder that the fight against prejudice starts with each of us. The atmosphere in the jewelry store grows increasingly tense, electric with unspoken emotions as eyes dart between the elegant woman and the small girl standing frozen in fear. The initial outburst lingers, a heavy silence filling the air, interrupted only by the soft sobs escaping the girl. Her delicate features crumple in shame, reflecting what it is to be a child caught in the crossfire of adult prejudice. Yet, it is then that the mother arrives, her entrance punctuated by the chime of the door, unaware of the drama unfolding inside. When she spots her daughter, tear-stained and trembling, a surge of protective instinct rises within her. The elegant woman, still bristling with indignation, stands confidently before the girl, her posture erect, as if daring anyone to challenge her superiority. But what begins as a warm greeting from the mother quickly transforms into a confrontation that echoes through the store. "What happened here?" she asks, her voice steady but laced with concern. She crouches down to meet her daughter's gaze, a blend of rage and confusion painting her features as she rises to face the antagonist. As the elegant woman opens her mouth to remark, the mother's intensity surprises her into silence. "You," she begins, her voice firm, "have no right to speak to my daughter in such a despicable manner. Who do you think you are to belittle a child? This is unacceptable." The words roll off her tongue like a cascade of truth, unmuffled by the thin veneer of luxury that surrounds them. The mother boldly steps between her daughter and the haughty woman, eyes blazing, cross-examining the lady with each question. The tension escalates, shifting the focus from the broken necklace to the shattered dignity of a young girl. "My daughter deserves respect, just like you do, nor are you above anyone here. You may have money, but that doesn't give you the right to tear another person down. Your arrogance and prejudice are uglier than any broken necklace," she asserts, as the crowd takes notice. Inside her chest swells an unwavering strength as she stands for her child against an embodiment of societal bias. The elegant woman, momentarily taken aback by the mother's vehement defense, involuntarily shifts on her heels. "Did you actually just imply that I should be molded into some kind of caretaker?" she retorts, trying to regain her stance of superiority. Yet, the mother remains relentless, refusing to let the woman's attempts to pivot the conversation lead her away from the heart of the matter. "Explain your behavior," she demands firmly. "Why do you think it's acceptable to engage in such hostility toward a child? Look around. Do you see the faces witnessing your cruelty? You do not deserve to live in a bubble of elitism when it comes at the cost of others." Her voice rings out, drawing even the most passive observer into a newfound awareness of the uncomfortable reality that had just unfolded. As the elegant woman prepares to offer a flippant retort, the mother interjects briskly. "You may want to reconsider your actions. I am the daughter of Vanessa Roberts, the CEO of a local company known across the city for her work in diversity and inclusion. My mother builds bridges while people like you construct walls of separation." At that moment, the air thickens with the power of her words, an unexpected revelation that sends ripples among the assembled customers. Whispers begin to spread, eyes widening in shock and intrigue. Gasps dot the crowd, the atmosphere charged with a blend of admiration and confusion. The woman visibly pales, her disdain faltering in the face of this newfound information. "You don't mean the Vanessa Roberts?" "The philanthropist," she stammers, suddenly on the back foot. Her posture loses its earlier confidence as the realization dawns on her that she is now facing someone far more than herself in the social hierarchy. The responses from the gathered customers begin to partition into camps. Some shift their allegiances, stepping forward to support the emotional mother and her daughter, their expressions turning from passive observation to active solidarity. They nod silently, some whispering words of encouragement, while others begin to express their own indignation at the situation. Meanwhile, a few loyal supporters of the woman remain planted, clutching their designer bags as though they were shields. They defend her, insisting that she was just reacting naturally to an unfortunate accident. "It was just a necklace, for heaven's sake," one customer pipes up, drawing nods from others who cling to the idea of social decorum rather than confronting the biases on display. The manager of the store, sensing that tensions are spiraling beyond control, steps forward in an effort to broker some semblance of civility. He raises his hands, his voice calm but firm. "Let's take a moment to breathe, everybody. This is a retail establishment, not the place for this kind of confrontation." But his plea falls flat in the midst of a burgeoning storm. The positioning of allies and enemies creates an electric divide in the room that grows weightier with each passing moment. "Perhaps you should consider your own behavior before meddling in how others respond. This isn't about a simple error, it's about the greater implications of your words." The mother snips back, her composure unwavering. She recognizes the manager's attempt to de-escalate, but refuses to let the woman slip away unaccountable. The elegant woman fidgets, desperately trying to regain the high ground, floundering in the wake of the mother's tearful defiance. "What I should do is simply walk away from this ridiculous scene," the woman snaps, but the challenge in her tone is undercut by a hint of uncertainty. With her dominoes lined up in a row, questionable companions, and a looming crowd eager for her to falter, she clears her throat, attempting to maintain her bravado. "I'm not here to face insults. Regardless of who you claim to be, that doesn't give you any right to disrupt my day." But her protestations only fuel the fire. Customers begin to engage with one another, recounting previous instances where they witnessed similar acts of disrespect, voicing the long-suppressed anger at being ignored or overlooked. The division deepens, a palpable energy intertwining their voices. Some feel moved to align with the mother, while others still favor the offended woman. "Your wealth shouldn't shield you from accountability," one observer remarks boldly, emboldened by the stirring interactions. "You have a choice, just like we all do, to elevate others instead of tearing them down with your words, regardless of how you feel in the moment." Amid this swirling chaos, the elegant woman finds herself trapped, navigating the shifting tides of support and condemnation. The mother catches her eye, filled with both defiance and motherly love, and she recognizes the pivotal moment unfolding before her. What began as an othered moment of judgment has metamorphosed into an act of unity against something much larger than a single miscommunication. It broadens into a conversation on race, privilege, and responsibility in a world that far too often turns a blind eye to injustice. The manager, seeing the once curious bystanders become a cacophony of voices lamenting the trials of their lives, shifts his approach. "Everyone, let's take a step back. We're all humans here. Let's bridge the gap instead of building walls." And though he seeks to quell the rising tide, the words fall on mixed ears. The elegant woman stares ahead, grappling with the realization that her existence, once defined by exclusivity, now feels weighty under the collective scrutiny of the crowd. Emotions ebb and flow as the gathered patrons consider their next steps. Every eye holds a story, Every voice has an opinion. As they grapple with their own roles in this journey, the elegant woman finds herself caught in a maelstrom of her own making, a reality that no amount of luxury can shield her from forever. The confrontation has awakened a communal spirit, where previously muted voices rise together, dissolving the manufactured air of hierarchy. Whether they walk away supporting the mother and child or re-establishing the elegant woman's power, they leave transformed. In that moment of clarity, a mix of healing and confrontation hangs in the air like threads, weaving a new narrative for the burdens they carry and the identities they choose to wear in each other's company. Through the gratitude of an innocent child and the strength of a mother's love, they open the door to resistance, dialogue, and the hope for harmony unresting in their society. As the tension in the jewelry store simmers, the mother stands resolute, fueled by newfound support flooding in from fellow customers. An unspoken solidarity binds them, and she decides to seize this moment. "We need to speak about what just happened," she declares, her voice trembling slightly with both urgency and determination. "Let's create a space where we can openly discuss racism and prejudice. Many of us have stories to tell, experiences that have shaped us, and we can learn from one another." The response is immediate, a ripple of agreement sweeping through the crowd. Heads nod and murmurs of affirmation coexist with the soft sounds of heartbeats and breaths. The broken necklace has become a catalyst for collective reflection rather than a mere incident of animosity. The festive air of the store morphs into a backdrop for an essential conversation, the attraction of shimmering jewels exchanged for a gathering of hearts and minds. "Let's create a dialogue, a platform where we can openly confront these issues face to face," she continues, growing in confidence. "I was not only hurt for my daughter, but also for all of us who have felt the sting of bias, no matter how subtle it may seem. It's time to break the silence, to stand together and call out discrimination in its many forms." One by one, the customers begin to share their stories, interweaving their narratives into a rich tapestry of lived experiences. A young woman stands, her voice steady but choked with emotion as she recounts her experiences of exclusion in her workplace. Another elderly man talks of witnessing the struggles faced by those who look different from the majority, underscoring the importance of recognition and action. Each voice adds crucial layers to a conversation deeply ingrained in vulnerability and shared humanity. As discussions unfold, the initial elegant woman, standing apart from the group, feels the weight of their words wrapping around her, suffocating and illuminating all at once. She becomes an unwilling observer, initially dismissive but now entrapped by the gravity of the collective emotions cascading in the room. Fragmented memories of her own upbringing swirl in her mind, her notions of superiority, the ingrained biases that she had viewed as mere preferences. The confrontation has cracked the facade she had so carefully built, forcing her to confront an uncomfortable truth. She begins to reflect upon her actions, the sharpness of her previous remarks gnawing at her conscience. What fuels prejudice if not ignorance? What solitude exists in a world defined by superiority instead of empathy? Under the scrutiny of her peers, tears well in her eyes as she contemplates the damage inflicted not just on the little girl but on herself, the part of her that had refused to heed the cries for understanding. A kaleidoscope of thoughts dances through her mind as she surveys the emotional vulnerability of the gathered crowd, a group of complete strangers now woven together by shared pain and the strength to verbalize it. As the dialogue ebbs and flows, every shared experience further reinforces the store's environment, transforming it into a sanctuary, a safe harbor in a storm of discrimination. The mother's proposal starts to blossom beyond mere conversation, evolving into an authentic call for change, with each customer growing increasingly passionate about promoting a more inclusive community. Inspired by the collective storytelling, she proposes that the store should facilitate regular events dedicated to combating prejudice and fostering understanding. With the clamor of agreements echoing through the room, the manager finally steps forward again, adrenaline coursing through his system. "I think what we're witnessing is extraordinary," he remarks, his voice imbued with conviction. "This store is no longer just a place to shop. It's becoming a space for learning and growth. I will work with the staff to organize events focused on inclusion and diversity. We can offer workshops, invite speakers, and share resources aimed at challenging our biases and educating one another." The murmurs of approval swell, overlapping like a melodic chorus. The elegant woman, still amid the gathering, feels her heart tug in conflicting directions. Should she retreat into her insulated world, or should she step into the light that has been cast upon her in a most unyielding manner? She recognizes her own responsibility in this moment, the weight of her voice and where it had been directed. It is time to choose, to step forward and learn or to remain ensnared in a fortress devoid of understanding. When the little girl lifts her head and meets the eyes of those surrounding her, a spark flares within her, an ember of empowerment glowing brighter with every shared word. As her mother places a gentle hand upon her back, the child stands taller, their connection offering solace amidst the emotional upheaval surrounding them. Inspired by the courageous exchange, the girl realizes that she is not simply an observer in this story, but an active participant who has the chance to stand up for what is right. She envisions herself as a defender of equality, a voice that can advocate for others, particularly those who feel invisible. With her newfound strength, she speaks, her voice small yet unyielding. "I want others to know that they matter, no matter what they look like or where they come from," she states, her clarity cutting through the air. "We should support one another." Her words resonate, echoing through the hearts present, igniting a flame of hope, a reminder of the resilience of youth and the potential of every individual to inspire change. The conversations continue long into the afternoon, each thread woven together creating an intricate network of understanding and empathy. The elegant woman stands at the edge of the circle, their discussions ingraining themselves in her consciousness, and for the first time, she confronts her own biases instead of dismissing them as mere preferences. The realization floods her with humility, her previous arrogance stripped away like layers of onion, revealing a fragile yet determined soul yearning for connection. As reflections of unity and struggle thread their way through the bond of shared experiences, they witness the emergence of not merely a community but a movement toward inclusivity, where each voice carries weight. The conversations that began in a jewelry store encompass far more than gems and gold. They unfurl into a collective commitment to face prejudice and dismantle the barriers that separate them. By the end of the day, as the sun dips below the horizon, casting a warm glow through the windows of the store, the manager takes a deep breath, buoyed by the collective spirit bubbling around him. Today marks a turning point for all of us. We have the chance to create lasting change, he declares, igniting the anticipation of the future that unfolds before them. With the bonds forged and lessons learned, the store transforms into a beacon of hope. A place no longer solely defined by what it sells, but by what it stands for. A solidarity that celebrates diversity and nurtures unwavering inclusivity. The young girl, once fearful and uncertain, aligns herself with her mother and newfound allies, ready to embrace her role as a champion for those who have been silenced or overlooked. This enriched narrative, seated within the walls of a jewelry store, cultivates the environment for real change. As they step forward together, out into the bustling street and into a world ripe with potential, they are met with the recognition that every action counts, and every word has the power to uplift or harm. They are determined to weave together stories of resilience, like threads in a tapestry, with the unwavering conviction that their voices combined can create echoes that reach far beyond their fleeting moment. A call for compassion, understanding, and above all, a united stand against discrimination. As the discussions lingered in the air, heavy with the weight of shared experiences and realizations, the elegant woman felt an undeniable urge to address the mother and daughter directly. The cacophony of voices that once seemed distant now resonated within her, reverberating with the guilt that had settled deep in her chest. She had stood by, perched atop her carefully constructed pedestal, and the confrontation had forced her to recognize the shaky foundation beneath her. With resolve knitting her brows, she stepped forward, her heart pounding with each uncertain step. "Excuse me," she began, her voice quivering but strong enough to cut through the gathering hum. The room quieted, all eyes turning toward her as warmth flooded the space, engendering a pause filled with possibility. "I want to apologize, truly apologize, for my actions and my words. I see now how my behavior harmed you both." She glanced between the mother and the young girl, their eyes revealing a complex mixture of curiosity and hesitation. The mother remained silent, her protective instincts flaring briefly as she assessed the sincerity of the woman's demeanor. Still, there was an unmistakable softening in her gaze, an invitation to peel back the layers of misunderstanding that had led them to this moment. "I was wrong to think I could dismiss your presence, to uphold an unjust standard of beauty and worth. In my own ignorance, I perpetuated a system that seeks to divide us instead of uniting us." Every word felt heavy as it left her mouth, yet she pressed on, allowing the truth to pour out of her, as raw and uncomfortable as it was. "I've spent too long in a bubble, believing my privilege was a shield against the struggles others face. I failed to recognize the privilege I enjoyed and the very real pain that comes when someone like me discards another's humanity with a mere glance. I'm here today, hoping to learn and grow from this experience." Choosing to face the truth she had evaded for so long tugged at something deep within the woman, and she felt a warmth spread across her heart, unexpected yet liberating. The mother regarded her thoughtfully, her brow furrowing slightly as she processed the honesty laid before her. The young girl's wide eyes searched for understanding, absorbing the unfamiliar tones of remorse and vulnerability resonating in the elegant woman's words. A hush permeated the store, the customers who had rallied around the mother and daughter, now compelled to reflect upon their own roles in the intricate dance of biases and prejudice. It was in this thick silence that one voice emerged, a gentle resonance that shattered the tension like glass being dropped. A woman from the back of the store, one who had quietly listened to the unfolding drama, rose to her feet, her expression serene yet resolute. "I understand how you feel," she said, her words carrying the weight of experience. "I faced discrimination in ways that tore at my identity and undermined my opportunities in life." The store seemed to lean in, captivated by her authenticity. "Just last month, I walked into a supposedly upscale restaurant only to be met with disdain in the server's eyes. It wasn't the first time I felt unwelcome because of how I look, but I carry those moments with me every day, a silent pain that lingers even in my successes." Her story masterfully unfolded, revealing tear-streaked faces, clenched fists, and empathetic heartbeats among the listeners. As she continued, the woman's courage ignited a wave of support, with others chiming in, recalling their own tales of hurt and healing. Each shared experience seemed to weave together a stronger network of solidarity, creating a vibrant atmosphere within the store that felt electric with possibility. "Your words, they matter," another customer chimed in, nodding at the elegant woman. "It takes strength to face our truths, even when it's uncomfortable. All of us, regardless of our backgrounds, have a responsibility to learn and to support one another." The community's united stance painted a vivid realization that transformation was not just a solitary journey, but a shared endeavor that demanded collective participation and commitment. The elegant woman stood, engulfed in the cascading stories of heartache and resilience, recognizing the golden threads of empathy that connected them all. She felt a shift within herself, a gradual unfurling from the confines of her previous mindset. She was no longer the detached observer. Rather, she was an active participant in the growth of a community striving for inclusiveness. In the days that followed, she began attending the assigned workshops on inclusion and diversity, the very center of change they had collectively committed to. Each session opened new facets of her understanding, unraveling ignorance that had governed her earlier actions. Speakers from diverse backgrounds enlightened her with illuminating insights, forcing her to confront uncomfortable truths about her assumptions and biases. It was a journey marked by a willingness to be vulnerable, to learn from her missteps, and ultimately, to change for the better. The once elegant woman, now transformed through a lens of empathy, became an advocate for the initiative's birth out of her own reckoning. Each event she participated in fostered connection as she engaged in dialogues that explored the nuances of identity, intersectionality, and community building. It was a growth so profound that even her past actions became an essential part of her narrative, reminders of where she had come from and the values she wanted to uphold now. With time, her journey sparked not just personal transformation, but served as an inspiration to others who witnessed her growth. As she stepped out into her community, the elegant woman became synonymous with an unwavering advocacy for change, challenging discrimination with every step she took, engaging others in meaningful conversations, and empowering those who had remained silent for too long. Each connection solidified the resolve among her peers to create environments characterized by respect and dignity regardless of backgrounds. The mother and daughter, who had initially felt like victims, noticed how their experience inspired this woman's metamorphosis, stirring an unexpected hope for change in their hearts. The trio, bound by their unique stories, bonded over their shared commitment to foster inclusion and understanding, lending one another support as they explored the nuances of their individual lives. Together, they championed discussions of race, identity, and resilience, recognizing that their collective voices held power far beyond the four walls of that jewelry store. This journey of transformation wove through the hearts of many, pulsating with the rhythms of newfound understanding that enveloped the very fabric of their community. As the elegant woman sought every opportunity to advocate for change, she became a living testament to the fact that redemption lies not in lamenting the past, but in embracing the courage to evolve and uplift those around her. In time, they established a regular event rooted in dialogue and learning, where stories were shared and experiences exchanged. The once unlikely gathering blossomed into something beautiful, a tapestry of humanness reminding everyone present that beneath the surface of every individual is a story waiting to be heard. Together, they crafted a legacy of empathy and solidarity, redefining the ethos of their community and igniting a movement that rippled through the fabric of their society. The elegant woman firmly understood that the evolution of her heart, once dominated by indifference, had morphed into an unyielding force propelling them toward equality, an awakening to the truth that every voice matters, and when united, can reverberate through the corridors of time, fostering a brighter future. The day had finally arrived, a day that had been spoken of in whispers and eagerly anticipated in hopes and dreams. The jewelry store, once a mere establishment of adornment, had transformed into a beacon of hope and inclusion for the community. Vibrant banners hung from the rafters, each one adorned with affirmations of diversity and unity, boldly declaring the imperative for change. It was a stunning display that promised to create a lasting impact, drawing curious onlookers and ardent supporters alike. As guests began to fill the space, a palpable buzz of enthusiasm and anticipation floated in the air. The atmosphere vibrated with a shared consciousness, an unspoken agreement that this day was about coming together, fostering understanding, and igniting the consciousness necessary for real transformation. Everywhere one looked, there were smiles and greetings exchanged, as individuals from various backgrounds united under the common banner of inclusion. Workshops filled with engaging discussions and panels featuring local personalities and civil rights advocates became the backbone of the event schedule. Each session, carefully curated, delved into topics ranging from the importance of representation in media to the significance of allyship in dismantling systemic discrimination. Lively debates erupted, intellects clashing in a dance of ideas, and the air seemed alive with the fervor of change. It was in this atmosphere of solidarity that the young girl stood backstage, heart racing with excitement and nerves. She had transformed over the past months, shedding the cloak of uncertainty that had once hung heavily on her shoulders. With each day spent learning about herself, her worth, and the importance of her voice, she had blossomed into a confident activist, ready to speak her truth. Encouraged by the collective spirit of the event and the support of her mother and newfound allies, she was prepared to take the stage. As she stepped into the spotlight, the buzz shifted into a hush, all eyes zeroing in on her with a blend of anticipation and admiration. The weight of the moment bore down on her, but she stood tall, the memory of her journey lending her strength. With a deep breath, she began to speak, her voice ringing clear and true through the hushed audience. "Hello, everyone. My name is Maria," she introduced herself, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves. "I'm here today to share my story, a story about courage, change, and the power of our voices." She paused, allowing her gaze to sweep across the sea of faces, each one reflecting infinite experiences and struggles. Encouraged by the compassion that radiated from the audience, she pressed on. "There was a time when I didn't believe in myself. I felt invisible, and sometimes I felt like my worth was dependent on how others saw me. I was bullied, made to feel small by those who couldn't see my value. But I realized something profound. I wasn't small, I was simply misunderstood. What I grew to understand is that everyone has their own battles, and sometimes we all just need someone to listen, to understand, and to uplift us." Each word amplified the energy in the room, sparking an ember of resonance that echoed through the hearts of those present. Maria spoke not just of her experiences, but of the experiences shared by many others, amplifying the voices of individuals who often went unheard. Utterances of pain and hope intertwined as she wove her narrative, punctuated by bravery and introspection. When I was given the chance to share my story through conversations about diversity and inclusion, I discovered that my voice has power, just as yours does. It isn't just about me, it's about all of us. When we unite, we create a ripple that can eventually wash away the misunderstandings and biases of the world. It is our responsibility to lift each other, to share our experiences, and to stand together against discrimination in all its forms. As her words cascaded over the audience, a tangible energy flowed within the room, ignited by Maria's infectious enthusiasm. She felt a connection, not just with the people watching, but with a greater purpose that fueled her words. I invite each of you to join me in this journey. Let's create spaces where we can share openly, where our differences are celebrated rather than feared. Together, we can inspire change and build a world that reflects the beauty of our diversity. With her final words, Maria's heart soared, a culmination of the love and support that enveloped her. The applause that erupted was thunderous. It was not just applause for a girl who had bravely shared her story, but for an embodiment of hope, inspiration, and empowerment echoing through the very essence of the community. The event continued, marked by laughter and shared stories, and participants flooded into workshops eager to engage in discussions. Faced with the reality of transformation before them, many felt newly inspired to delve deeper into their own understanding of inclusion. The day unfolded, mirroring the journey of Maria, a testament to the significance of every voice and every experience. Maria mingled among the crowd, engaging with attendees, leading conversations, and listening intently to others. Each exchange was a precious moment, a friend reclaiming their narrative with renewed vigor, a stranger sharing their struggles with tears in their eyes, and communities forming amidst the shared desire for understanding and justice. The young girl had become a natural leader, her courage sparking a collective awakening reverberating across the room. As the day drew to a close, an impact lingered, stronger than the sum of all voices. The event had ignited a new beginning for many, fostering a spirit of allyship and commitment that wove through the fabric of the community. It was clear that this was not a one-time occurrence. The seeds of change had been planted, nourished by dialogue and shared experience. Having begun as disconnected threads in a tapestry, the attendees emerged an intricate puzzle, richer for their interconnectedness. And at the center of it was Maria, no longer the girl who had once felt alone, but a core leader embodying hope and change. Her story merging with countless others cradling the dream of a more inclusive world. She had ignited a movement, and as people left the store, hearts aglow with newfound purpose, they understood that they were now part of something larger than themselves, a collective effort to transcend barriers, foster empathy, and uplift one another in a society that thrived on diversity. As the stars began to twinkle outside and the last attendees wandered into the night, the jewelry store stood as a witnessed landmark, transformed into a sanctuary for stories, a marketplace not of jewels, but of humanity's raw beauty. And within its walls, the echoes of brave voices would continue to resonate, fueling a fire that could not be extinguished, only nurtured and celebrated in the days, months, and years to come.